Hi, everyone. This is Anna, one of your consumer technology specialists at Mid-Continent Public Library. And today we are going to be talking about how to make a website with the free website builder WordPress. So the first thing we are going to want to do is navigate to wordpress.com. And every time you come and log into WordPress, you're going to land on this dashboard page. Now, this account already does have a website created, which is why it doesn't immediately send me to the build a new website page. But I can get there by just scrolling down a little bit and looking on that left side menu down at the bottom left corner, just above the last option, we have a plus sign and it says add a new site. So that's what we're going to do. This is where we can give our site a name. I'm going to name mine MCPL Tech Lady because that is the account that we're going to use. Then I'll hit continue in that box. Now here is where WordPress does have a free option, but they also have paid options. So depending on what you are going to pick, you may have a cleaner web address than the free plans. But on this screen, we can see that first option with the WordPress.com at the end, that is the free version. We do also have the option to do mcpltechlady.com, .tech, .blog. Those are all paid options. And then you also do have the option, if you already have a domain name, to connect that to the website you're about to create. So we are going to go ahead and just click on this first option because we're going for the free website, and then we will hit continue on the right side there. Now we have the option to choose a design. So we are going to pick a theme that's going to give us a basic layout for our website. One thing that you may have noticed if you've been watching any of our other website builder videos are that starting from a template is one of the basis for these free website builders that we are talking about. And that is because it gives anyone the opportunity to create a website. You don't have to know how to write code or anything like that. You have the option to pick from a template, and then you can customize it to be kind of whatever you are wanting to. So I am going to click this blue one on the left side there. And now I have the option to tell it that I want to add features right away. And I am just going to start with a very simple site for now. So I'm going to go ahead up to where it says skip for now. You can always add those things later, but you don't have to. So again, we are selecting the free plan. It is trying to sell us the paid for plan, but I just scrolled down. The second option under premium is free. So it looks like you get 3 gigabytes of storage space. So as you start creating your site, you may find that you are wanting to do more with it than that 3 gigabytes allows. That's something that you'll just kind of have to figure out as you go, because depending on if you put images or videos or anything like that on your website, it is going to change the size of the site itself. So I did go ahead and click on that template, and now I am in the workspace. We do have a menu bar across the top. It shows we don't have a title for our page yet. So we do have the option to preview. And when I click on where it says preview, I do have the option to look at my site as if it were being viewed from 3 different types of devices. So you have your desktop version, which is going to be what your site will look like on a computer, but then you may also have people viewing it on an iPad or another type of tablet or a mobile device. So you do have the option actually to click through and preview the way that your site is going to look on each of these devices, which is really nice to be able to see that ahead of time. depending on what you put on the site, you may find that it looks great on the desktop version, but it just looks really odd on the mobile version. So that gives you a way to kind of see what that will be, whether you yourself have one of those devices or not. So that's a nice option. And then we can just click preview again to close that drop down window. We are actually going to jump back to our dashboard now just to kind of see a couple things on there before we get started. So what I did was I clicked the WordPress logo in the top left corner, and that brought up my side menu. I can just click dashboard. That takes me back to where we started. And again, this is where your landing page for whenever you log into your site. The other things that you might want to see on the homepage are that there are some help articles that you can look at. So I just scrolled down a little bit and was able to see this get help. If there's something specific that you are trying to figure out how to do, you can search that there. Also, just above that, we have some kind of video tutorials to help get you started. This one is for blogging. So if that's the type of website you are looking to create, there is a video in which you can get some more information, tips, tricks, that kind of thing. There's also, it looks like, an article about the photo library from WordPress. Just wanted to point those out as you get started. There's no way we can cover everything that you can do to build a website today, so just want to make sure you have those tools pointed out to you. Also, if we look at the left side menu, we can see the little home icon, the little house, and then it says MCPL Tech Lady because that is our account. And now underneath our web address, we can see that it says coming soon. And the reason it says coming soon is we have not actually published the site yet. So once we publish, it will show right there. So you kind of have an idea of the status of your website. As you go down this left side menu, there are definitely other bits and pieces that you might want to look at or utilize. So once your site is published and you begin getting people to come to your site, you are able to look at some of those statistics. So you can see views, independent visitors, if people have liked something, if people have commented. You'll be able to see all those sorts of things. And then once you put more content on your site, you have other statistic options that you can look at as well. You also have the email option for this specific website. It does need to be a premium account to utilize their in-site email account. So basically what that means is you could still put a contact me or post your contact information on your site, but you're not going to be able to check those messages that people send you from this dashboard. And that's the difference between the inbox on this menu and your regular email address that you have set up and created separate from this website. I did want to point out that there is a place that you can create and manage all the blog aspects of your website. So a lot of people do use WordPress as a blogging site or to post updates of some kind. And this allows you to manage all of that writing, all of that content without having to go into the site editor. So what we see right here are, we have a couple of posts that are put in. They're just filler. So they will show up when we go to our editor and we will be able to see how they look on the page. But the actual content of them, we can look at here. So for example, this first one, if I go to the three dots on the right side and I click on it, I can edit. Maybe I post a blog and then realize that I spelled something wrong. It happens to everyone. So you do have that edit capability to change the content of your post. You can also see views, numbers, statistics, that kind of thing. You can copy the link if you're going to post it maybe on social media or something like that. You also can delete, so move a post to the trash. You can also draft post. So maybe you start writing it, you get interrupted, or you write it early, but you don't want it to post until a certain day. You can leave it saved as a draft, and you can also schedule posts to go live at specific times. So all of that can be done from this post tab on the left side menu. So we can just jump to add a new post. If we've categorized ours, we can look at the categories. We can also put tags in, and then we can use the tags that we've created to find certain content. So maybe you wrote a bunch of posts about how you like to crochet, but you write about food that you like too. You might put crochet or crafting on your tag, and then you can see all of those posts that you use those specific tags. We've created a site, but we can also add new pages to the site from this left menu. You can also see comments that have been left on the site, other things like that. So now we've gotten into more of the tools that we're going to think about when we're actually editing the look of our website. One other thing that I want to note about this WordPress dashboard before we move on to the editor is after you create your site, you can actually invite other people to help with the upkeep of the site, or maybe you might be doing a group forum. Maybe you have a book club and you want each member to write a post before the book club to kind of give a little teaser about what the next book is going to be, or something like that. I mean, it can be anything. But if you need or want more than one person to be able to make any changes to the site, whether that be just doing posts or whether that be making them also an administrator so they can change the look of the site, this is where you would do that. So you can invite people and then you would be able to set their permissions for what they can do on the site. So if we go back up to my home, we can kind of see the main area in this home tab is encouraging me to finish setting up my site. So on the right side, you can kind of see it's got a little check mark or a little bulleted list of things to do to get your site ready. We are obviously at the point where they think we should update our homepage, whether that be the style or the content of the homepage. So we can go ahead and just click where it says edit site right here on the kind of left middle area. Okay, so now we are back on our editing page and we can get started customizing this website. The first place to look to get some formatting tools is to click on the plus sign in the top left corner. When you do click it, it becomes an X. And it brings up this menu where we can see what they call blocks. And so think of these as like building blocks. They're going to be pieces that you put together to create the site as a whole. So the first category is text, and then media is down below. And if we scroll down, there would be more. And as we are editing, if you do just click that X one more time, that hides the menu. So you can kind of toggle back and forth by clicking once to open, click again to close. And so what we are going to do actually is we are going to click inside this box with all of the large text. And this is one of our headers. And I just know that because it is the really big text. It is made to catch the eye and kind of give people a place to start reading on the site. So I'm just going to select and delete everything that's in there, and then we can see it says heading. And I am just going to put in MCPL Tech Lady website. And then they have a hashtag here. I don't actually need that, so I could actually just I did click on those 3 dots or 3 lines. The 3 dots or 3 lines on top of each other in a menu just generally mean more. So I know that if I can't see something, that's a good place to start. Because I don't need that writing at all, I'm not going to put anything different in there. I'm just going to say remove paragraph, and that removes that little box. The box was considered a paragraph as opposed to a heading. So even though it was only 1 line, it's still considered to be a paragraph to the site. So while we're still looking at our header, we can change it up a little bit. So as long as you have clicked inside the box for the header, what you do in the pop-up menu should be applied to the entire box. So let's see. I still want it to be a heading, so I'm going to leave it. I can also click on the multiple lines of dots in this kind of box that allows me to drag. So if I wanted to move the header up to the very, very top, I could do that. That's not where I want it, so I can easily fix that by going back up to our top menu where we do have undo and redo arrows. So I just click it once and it should, okay, I clicked it twice, so sometimes things don't work exactly the way you expect, but I clicked it twice, I got it back to where it was. If I kind of just wanted to see back and forth, do I like that? Do I not like that? I can undo and then redo, and it should show me those changes. I'm going to go ahead and put this back to the header one because I want it to be eye-catching. Then I can also change the alignment, make it bold or not bold. I can also add some things through here. But what I want to do is show more settings. I'm trying to figure out how to change the color. So I showed more settings. Now I have, again, it says header, so we know what piece of the web page we are going to apply this change to. I want to change the color of the actual text. So I'm going to change the color to still something pretty light and bright. I'm going to change it to, we'll change it to this green color. And then just click that text box again to close it out. So there's a couple other things that we can do here, but we're just gonna keep kind of looking at our site. So as you're moving your mouse around, you may see that areas are being kind of highlighted, but there's nothing there. Some of these are what they call spacers. So there's a spacer right above our header. There's a differently shaped spacer below our header. I don't necessarily think we need those, so I'm just going to select mine and then I can remove it. So we'll do that. And now the posts we had looked at on the dashboard, those posts are what we have here right below our header. If I had maybe a different picture on this site or something in the background to make the header more exciting, maybe I would leave that space. But again, I just don't think we need it. So I'm going to remove it. And we might even just remove this one. So now we have our title of our site. We could add a tagline. We've got our header, and then we're pretty quickly right into our posts, which are really the focus of this blog website. So again, they're just filler posts right now, but when we went to create our own, we could do that. So the next thing on our top menu is a list view of the organization of all the blocks on the site. So a lot of this is stuff that you really can't see. This is giving you a visual representation of how these pieces fit together. And that all has to do with the coding, but they're making it very simple for us. So we do have the option to click on any of these different pieces, any of these blocks, and they should highlight. So if you see where it says site title, when I click on that, it highlights where it says MCPL Tech Lady, whereas if I go down to heading, then my heading is highlighted. I can also do this from the actual site. So when I click on this spacer, it highlights on this left menu. If I click on this post, this brings us to where formatting for the posts are. We could rearrange these if we wanted to. So what I did was I moved the cover for the post, which ended up putting the text above the image. So again, if we don't like that, we just hit that undo arrow. If we do like it, we can leave it like that. So we'll leave it like that for now. And then I also can see the first two posts that are kind of in line together. These are grouped together. And then the one below is in its own group. So this query loop, I believe, is if you click that, it's going to highlight around the entire area of the group rather than just one of the articles. And then if we click the next one, then it goes around just this one article because it's much bigger and it has its own settings. This just kind of gives us a way to move things kind of more quickly and also to just see how they fit together. So we know if we move something, we can immediately see how moving that affects other things on the site. So the next thing that we can look at is this gear icon on the right side of that top menu. And we actually did already see some of what this settings menu has to offer when we changed the color of our header. So I just clicked inside of our text box for our header, and then you probably noticed that this drop down on the right menu looks pretty familiar. So we can click on some other box. So this is going to change things in the blocks. So I just clicked on the site title, and I know that because right under where I have the block tab selected, it tells me what type of block it is. So it's telling me it's the site title. I do have the option to give it a color or change the color or background. So maybe we'll just make it a different color of pink. We can give it kind of a background, make white. And if we don't like that, you can always undo. Because this site title is also a link, I do have the option to make it link back to the home page of my site, or I can also tell it whether I want it to open in a new tab. And I also have the option of changing the letter case very easily. You really do have to play around with some of these things. It's not all super intuitive, which is why I pointed out where you can get those help articles. There are videos that you can watch as well. We also do have the option to change the style. So changing the style is going to change everything that has been designated that specific thing on the website. So I clicked typography. So this is going to be text that we're making edits to the appearance of. And then there were text and links, both had different options. So I can leave it on the default font family, or I can change it. I can also change the line height. If you notice, after I did that, it did change what the filler posts look like. You want to undo that. And then this is again where you kind of have to play with it because it's not necessarily changing the font itself. It's just changing little style pieces of the font. It looks like whatever this font is, it doesn't really respond to bold, but it does respond to italic. So I can put it back to the default and it goes right back to the way it was. You know, bold italic, it's really just the same as the regular italic. It did change the font a little bit. And then we also have the option to change these things in the links. So if you notice, the blog titles are links. So it did change to be bold when I changed the link theme. So we'll leave it back at bold. We go back, we can also change the color. So maybe we want the background to be a happier color or just something a little bit easier to read on. We've lost our heading with that one. So you do want to make sure there's enough contrast that your visitors can read it. So like here, this yellow might be good for what we've picked before. And actually, I just used one of the theme colors to change what the background looks like, which makes it really hard to read anything that's also that color. So you do change the background and the text fonts individually. So you know, make the links even a different color. This isn't the prettiest of websites, but it's just to kind of illustrate for you what happens when you make these changes. You also have the option to make a gradient, which is really only going to show up if you do it on the background. So there we go. That's a little bit easier on the eyes, easier to look at. So we'll leave it there. And then the little icon that looks like a speaking box from a cartoon, this is where you can leave feedback about the site editor, specifically the menu items that we were just using, the styles. They say they are in beta, which basically means they're still testing them. So they want your feedback. This isn't really where you want to go for help if you have an issue, but if you are running into something and you just feel like it could be done in an easier way, you can leave that feedback for the site builders. And then you also just have another more menu, and it's another place to get to the settings that we've already looked at. One that I do want to point out, almost all the way down at the bottom of this menu, it says the welcome guide. These are little helper guides for when you're getting started. It will pop up the first time you come to edit, but then it'll disappear. So if you do want to maybe review it, or if you click out of it and then didn't realize what it was, you can go back to it. And that is just from that more menu, 3 dots, and then down to welcome guide. So at this point, go ahead and save again, save the changes that we made since the last save. And then we're going to go back to the WordPress icon and back to the dashboard. And now the next thing it is saying is that we should try the app. We're going to skip trying the app and enabling post sharing. We want to make this site published. So that's the last option there, and it just says launch site. So I click on that. This is again where if we decide we would like to, we can change our web address and our domain name. We're going to go ahead and the bottom option is to leave it as it already is, like we chose at the beginning. So we're going to skip purchase and keep it how it was before. And so here, don't get scared about the asking for money, because right underneath choose a plan, it says pick one that's right for you or start with a free site, which is what we're doing. Now we're back on our dashboard and it shows us that we have launched our site. So here we can visit our site, and this is going to show you what people actually see when they go to your site. So this is a preview for us, but it's also what the site looks like to anyone who comes to look at it. So there's a lot of things on it we didn't even touch. There's also these menu icons here up at the top that we didn't even really see when we were creating the website. From here, we can go ahead and go back and edit the site. So we'll go ahead and we can do that. And so that's just to show you that once the site is published, it's not the final everything. You still can go back and tweak things, or you can decide to unpublish it. Maybe you want to just overhaul it, or if you want to get rid of it completely, you can do that too. So we're back on the editor here, but to unpublish the site, you want to be back on your dashboard, and we are going to go to the settings, and here under settings, we can mark the site as coming soon again, and then that's what will display for people if you want to redo it. Right now we're public because we did launch our site. We can check box to discourage search engines from indexing this site. It doesn't completely make it private, but it makes it not as searchable. It's not going to come up first thing in someone's search results. You can also make it private, so only you and those logged in users that you invited, those are the only people who will be able to see the site. So there are different options. And then, yeah, really you can delete the site too. All the way at the bottom of the settings page, delete your site permanently. It will delete everything on your site. So if there's any blog content that maybe you want to save before you delete the site itself, you want to make sure you do that first. So that's everything we have for today. So good luck with your web building. That's it for today's video. If you liked it, make sure you let us know. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook on our MCPL 360 page. We have new videos every Wednesday and Friday at 1 p.m. And if you missed the live event, you can also find all of our videos on our YouTube channel. You can find all of our technology videos there on our consumer technology playlist. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.